Hola! Welcome to Dustin's Vinyl. And here's your host, Dustin Chafin.
Yeah. Hola. ¿Cómo le ha ido,
Hola.
compadre? ¿Está bien?
Oh man, I forgot you know more than me.
Este show de otro idioma es en la música. Y hoy día lo saben.
Qué lástima.
What a pity. I think you could learn Spanish. I mean, you're part Puerto Rican, man. Come on, get it
I
together.
know. My grandmother never wanted to teach me.
Yeah, did she teach you how to fight?
She taught me how to fight and how to curse.
Yeah. Did you ever have a fight on stage?
I don't think I have. Have you?
Oh, I actually have. I have a fight on stage. I had a fight many years ago. It was funny. I was at Caroline's, rest in peace, Caroline's Comedy Club in Manhattan, and I was doing shots at the bar with no other than Brian Regan.
Ooh.
And he's a very big man, and so he can put down a lot of shots. And that was when I used to go toe to toe. I was like that chick in Harrison Ford's girlfriend in Indiana Jones, where she's like the beginning of the movie where she's like doing the shots. Like I thought I could be like that, where I could just go toe to toe. But I'm a small guy, so it really catches up with me quick. And so I got pretty drunk. I got pretty drunk at Caroline's, and then I walked over to the famous Broadway Comedy Club, and I had a spot. And have you ever been at a show where you're just like, you're in the back and you're watching somebody heckle every comedian before you?
Yes.
And then you just like, you hate that guy. So there was some guy in the audience. He was just going at every comic, and like nobody, and there's no security. Nobody,
No.
I mean, I get it. Al Martin's got to keep his house in Florida, but like spend a little money on taking care of the comedians, God forbid. And so, I get on stage and I just can't take it. And so I learned the guy, and I just kind of went off on him. And I think I might have called him a word that we're not supposed to say, or something, F word or something. And I was just like, shut up, man. And kind of went at him. Something that Jeff says on the show just casually. And so I just went at the guy. And then next thing I know, he just hits me in the jaw. And then he's kind of come at me again. And I have like this big Harley watch on. And so it just kind of hits my watch and it just shatters. But thank God I had the watch because it hurt his hand. He was a big guy. And then he just like, just kind of, it was basically one punch, maybe two punches. Probably two punches. My hat flew off. That's the biggest thing. I'm like stumbling around trying to find my hat. I'm drunk and I've been hit. So, and there's a lady in the audience just screaming. She's like, ah! So it's just chaos. And then my backup is somebody who's transitioning, running the club. And so it's just horrible. And so there's no men in the room. There's one guy who it's taken me 5 years to talk to him again. This guy, Josh Spear, who didn't have my back. And so everybody's a pussy in my opinion. And I'm just yelling at all the comics in the back. And like, I got a bruised head. My cowboy hat's all crooked. It's just really, the guy took off and nobody found him. There was no security. So the guy got away.
Wow.
He got to punch a drunk comedian on stage. And
He's somewhere telling that same story right now.
Yeah, probably a different version. Yeah,
I got away with it too.
Yeah, this guy was so drunk, and I just like hit him because he needed to not be a comedian anymore. He's probably a plumber or something now. Probably went back to school. I hit him so hard. He's working at Walmart.
Was that the end of your set, or did you try to go back into jokes after the fight?
I think I might have tried a joke, and it was like, okay, I gotta go. I was pretty drunk. I don't remember much. So, but it was one of those things. What are you gonna do? But I don't do that anymore. It was a done and done. But I have but that's the thing. It's like when you're not famous, nobody gives a shit. Like me getting punched on stage didn't make page 6. You know what I mean? It's like. Yeah, there's no celebritism involved. Nobody cares about comedians getting hit. So yeah, on that note, let's bring up our co-host.
Yeah.
we got a time crunch today, so we got to speed through everything.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the internet stage Adam Holtz and Jeffrey Paul, everybody. Yeah. See, Jeff, I told a story.
That's a good story.
That's a great story.
I didn't know that story.
My favorite was men are like, oh, that's not true. Like are the guys doing that, pretending to get in fights? Are comics doing that? Is
What
that
a
a thing I
weird
don't know
thing.
about?
That's such a weird thing.
It is a weird thing. Like, hey man, let me press this group in the green room. Like, yeah, I got to fight once. Yeah. Like, who says that?
Totally got into a fight.
There
It
was
was
a
so
thing in
real.
New York where comics were pretending to be gay.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah, so they can get spots.
Oh, to get spots.
Wow.
Okay. I didn't, because I
Is
know.
that why they're
someti-
pretending to be gay? Is that why they're pretending, or is it just so they can get blowjobs?
I don't know. They were saying spots. I don't know, if they were trying. But listen, I guess a mouth to mouth. So whatever you want to do, you
Hey, I
do.
gotta be careful what bait I give Jeff. He'll just go all in. These queers taking over our country. Okay. I don't know. That's the weirdest thing ever. You know what I mean? I mean, there's people that like. I mean, I guess it's no different than like, Larry the Cable Guy or something, where he's pretending to be more redneck than he is.
But that's a
You know what I mean?
character.
Yeah, Aaron Burr pretends to be straight. Like, there's people that like do stuff. Come at me, Aaron. I need the buzz. I need the buzz on the show. Let's start a fake feud. I don't know. I guess everybody kind of situates or exaggerates things a little bit, right?
Sure.
Anthony.
Well, they say comedy's a lot about perception.
Yeah, I guess pretending to be gay is pretty weird, but
It's a little weird.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen a lot of white comics pretend to be black.
Oh
so
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's much. I don't know what's worse.
Pretending to be gay is just bizarre. It's just a weird choice to make.
It's weird if you say you're like pretending to be gay and be a comedian, because that's not the field. That's not the place for it. Like if you were to pretend to be gay and be in Broadway theater, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like you're pretending to be in the fashion world. That makes sense. You know what I mean? Like it's like, because I was straight and in the fashion program in Parsons in New York. And it was just like, I mean, I was all by myself. And, it was pretty great, because you'd be the one straight guy and like there'd be like 13 girls and 4 gay dudes. And you're like, hey, all right, I can work this math. So,
but pretending to get into fights, that's a really weird one. But what I liked about that story was like you were calling people out. I love that.
Yeah, no, I'm still mad. I don't care if it's Carlos Mencia. I don't care if it's comics that comics hate. I don't care if it's somebody I hate. I would still have their back in a situation like that, no matter who it is. It could be a comic that I, call my mama something, and I would still be like, all right, dude, you can't do that to a comedian. It's a band of brothers. And so when comics aren't that way, I mean, I'm one of the few people that think that way anyway. That's why,
I think you're 100% right.
Yeah, New York comedy
right.
is suffering because my presence isn't there. It's like you have to have that. You have to have like a den mother, or otherwise otherwise the scene just dies out. Everybody's so selfish and like nobody cares about stuff like that.
That's why I left.
I mean, that's why I left. I was tired of being the den mother. Like somebody else has to do it. But club owners and stuff, and they don't care. It's like they don't show up and stuff. They don't. I'm not calling Al out. I love Al. He gave me a lot of opportunities. But there's a lot of people that don't. You got to be there and take care of your place. And if not, crazy shit happens. And so anyway, woo! It's a wild one. So yeah, we're doing a global show today. It's like it's a foreign show. You speak another language, Jeff?
¿Cómo estás, there?
Terrible Spanish. Muy bien, compadre. Yo hablo español. Vive en Chile como 2 años, como un misionero de la Iglesia de Jesucristo del Santo del Último Días. Entonces, yo puedo hablar. Woo! It's a long way to go. I was in a Mormon cult. All right. But yeah, it's, I think Spanish is a good one. I think it's interesting when you listen to music though, when it's in another language, because it's like it takes you out of that thing, where it's like you're really just listening to, you don't understand the lyrics, so it's really all about the music itself, the harmony and all the stuff. So it is interesting, listening to everybody's music today, because it's like it's a different part of your brain where you have to kind of get lock in and enjoy other things rather than the lyrics, because we're so used to lyrics. We're so used to like repeating like all the songs we like. We always repeat the lyrics and stuff. So this is
Yeah.
an interesting exercise just to kind of like listen to music and, not know what the hell they're talking about. They could be like, I hate Americans. Or like, this song rocks. Like, you have no idea what they're saying. So, so we'll get in it. We have a little time crunch today. Let's see. So I actually am covering one of these. No, this is a different one. So I think I brought this up before, but this is a Chet Baker album, and he's kind of taking on a lot of Spanish music in kind of, like the famous one is Anthony, what's the tequila song?
Oh, I forgot.
Well,
Yeah, Tequila. I forget what band
I forget what
is.
it's called. Tequila. Yeah, it's called Tequila.
Tequila.
So he does that. So Chet Baker doing the Pee Wee Herman song is pretty great. I'm not gonna lie, it's another level. But so I like buying stuff like this. I feel jazz in general is pretty cool because it kind of takes in a lot of different genres of different countries and things, and so you can kind of play with that. But this is as American as it gets. But we didn't get to really cover him at all, and he's very controversial. And he died, I believe, about 2 months ago, maybe. But Jerry Lee Lewis. I grabbed this album. I was like looking at it. And I love Jerry Lee Lewis. I don't care that he married his 13-year-old cousin. I mean, I saw her. She's pretty cute. And, it's a different time. It's a different time period, right? I mean, people still listen to Michael Jackson. I mean, I don't think he did that to his wife. Well, Michael apparently.
We just had this big conversation this week. Can you separate the person from the music?
Sometimes.
I think
not
you
all
can.
the time.
I mean, yeah, it's interesting. It really depends on the situation. This, he was married and she was young, but he got the parents' consent. And so I feel like it's easy for people to be like, okay, I can disconnect. Things with Michael Jackson, a lot of people, I'm kind of one of those people that think maybe it didn't happen. So it's easy to disconnect from the allegations. It's like, I don't know, like Louis C.K., that's a difficult one for me because I know, a lot of female comedians and stuff. So I know what they have to go through.
What about Kanye?
Kanye is, I don't know. I don't have a problem with Kanye. He says crazy stuff, but if I was Jewish or something, I'd be offended by it. I mean, I should be offended by it, but those first 3 albums are so good. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I think he's a genius. And I think all these people are geniuses. I don't know. I guess it doesn't affect me. I have more problem with Louis than I do with Kanye.
Why do you have a problem with Louis? Why him?
I just explained it. Did you not listen to me for like?
No, I did, but you didn't get into it fully. I'm just a little bit more. It's because of what he did.
Okay.
I do know the story.
Here's a scenario. Young Jeffrey Paul is working a comedy club, and he's let's say it's his first Jersey gig, and let's say I'm the headliner, and I say, hey Jeff, you want to come up and write some material, work on your set? You want to like maybe talk comedy business? As soon as you open the door, I got my dick out. How are you gonna feel? That's what these female comics are dealing with. Like they have to deal with stuff that you and I would never have to deal with. Obviously, I'm with a female comedian, but I know millions of them, and it's just like they have to deal with stuff that men don't have to deal with. So I think it's just unfair. The guy could get a hooker. The guy could get actually a beautiful girl. Like girls like guys that are successful. Like he doesn't need to do that. That's the weirdest part when guys do that. You don't need to do it. You know what I mean? You got Bill Cosby money. You don't need to do that. You could pay somebody to pretend to be asleep. You could just be like, hey man, this is my thing. Here's $3,000. Can you just lay there? And that person will do that. So it's just unnecessary, man. Where I think mistakes happen, And then with this was real love. What do we know? They stay married a while. And Great Balls of Fire, come on. I don't know. You obviously don't have a problem with Louis, but I'm kind of in that circle a little more than you are. So I hear what female comedians have to say about it, and men wouldn't be offended by it.
No, I hear what no, I hear what female
Yeah.
comedians have to say about it, and I always try and personalize and say, hey, if that was my daughter and he did
Yeah.
that to them, yeah, I go and look to light him up. I mean, I
He
don't give a
should have
shit
got his
who he
ass
is.
kicked. That should
A
have been his
hundred,
punishment.
100%.
It shouldn't have been losing his show. It should have been getting his ass kicked. Like that's what should have happened. Like you should have paid. Yeah.
1,000%. Couldn't agree with you more. However, the thing is, can you separate the person from the art? And the bottom line is, he's still a brilliant comedian.
That has nothing to do with it.
Well, that was the initial question.
Yeah, of course, but that's not even the point. Nobody's saying he's not a successful not a genius comedian because he does that. I'm just saying that it's like it's still sometimes it's hard not to think about that. Like put on the Cosby Show and try to just sit back and enjoy it. It's difficult. Like it's still on. They still have a couple places still play it. Like you can't just sit there and watch Dr. Huxtable and be like, "Oh, this is such a great wholesome show," when he's got Quaaludes in his sock, waiting to just knock some shit.
Because people were talking this week, and one of the things was like, how can you still be a fan of Kanye after everything that's come out? And I, just playing devil's advocate, I was like, well, can you separate the art, the music from the person? Like, can you listen to the music without like being into like what he says and what he stands for?
Well, I stopped liking Bono when he started preaching in concerts. Like, I don't like it when artists, say more than they need to say outside of their music. So I don't like Kanye for that. I just don't want to, when I think of Kanye, I want to play the music faster, stronger. That's what I want to think about. I don't want to think about this crap that he has to say. So the fact that he said, it didn't matter if I agree with what he's saying. Obviously I don't, but that's more about that. It's just, I don't think anybody should be preaching up there, And so I think he's technically trying to preach and try to call everybody out. And like, it's like, whatever, dude, he's his own worst enemy. So he comes at himself, but he's a genius in the sense that we're always talking about him. It's like right now there's somebody else on a podcast talking about him. Like it just, it's inevitable. It's
There's
like
podcasts about him.
He's always being talked about like 24/7. So there is a genius to his madness. It's unbelievable. But, it's like Picasso was really, brutal to women and put cigarette butts out on them and stuff. And, John Lennon beat up his first wife. And like, there's so many people that did horrible things and we still forget it because the art's so good.
G.G. Allen.
Yeah, he was out there, G.G. Allen. But you know why Picasso was so bitter towards women was because he lived across the street from a brothel, and he would see these women and he would paint them in ugly ways. He was an impressionist artist, so he'd paint them in these ugly ways because that's the way he saw it.
Yeah, that's one example. Richard Pryor lived in a brothel, and he wasn't. I guess he was a little abusive to some of his women, but that's just because he was on cocaine all the time. But but he did love women. They both loved women, but I think Picasso was a bit of a drunk himself. So, wow, this show took a turn. But it's good. I think we should be talking about this stuff because it is a constant thing. Every time a Michael Jackson song comes on, every time like a little bit about me feels guilty. Adam, do you feel guilty at all when you jam out to a Michael Jackson song?
Yeah, I think especially after the that HBO series came out, and it definitely made it tougher to listen to his music.
Yeah, but that's the thing, it's like, who do we believe, like,
right?
They had a Woody Allen documentary, and there's the same kind of deal, and like he's another one. I love Woody Allen, the greatest filmmaker of all time, and it's just like, it's just weird, man. It's gotta, but you gotta separate. I guess you can separate it. Depends on who you are. What is your threshold? You don't care about humanity. I guess it doesn't matter.
Right.
I don't, you know what I mean? Okay, all right, bringing it down. That's what we do here, guys. We're switching it up. New year, we're going to be a little more controversial. We're going to get into the real stuff. Not that anybody hasn't been talking about that for like freaking 4 years straight.
This all of a sudden is the weirdest version of The View.
Right.
This is way better than The View. Love it. All right, so we're doing we're doing foreign music today. So we'll start with Adam. He's always got his homework in. So Adam, talk to us, baby. What you got?
All right, so I went with the Icelandic band Sigur Rós and their second album. It was in '99, which is Algaidas Baiarion, which I know I'm going to butcher pretty much all these song titles because most of it's in Icelandic. But actually, Dustin, last week we were talking about some of our favorite albums from 2022, and we were talking about a lot of the four albums we picked are mostly throwbacks for the most part, and there's that throwback sound, and we were talking about trying to find unique bands. And now this is a band that when they came out, they actually kind of tried to make their mission statement, or at least the lead singer Jansi Bergensen tried to make it his mission statement that their band was there to kind of change music forever and change the way that people think about music. And this is definitely a very unique album. It's a very otherworldly, dreamy, kind of cinematic and epic album. It's music that is really felt more than especially because the way the lyrics are. It's in Icelandic. It's actually parts of the lyrics too are in a made up language called Hopelandic. So but it's really this is a band that was originally kind of influenced by some of the alt rock in the 90s, Smashing Pumpkins, Spiritualized, My Bloody Valentine, but then they kind of married this like their kind of style with classical music, with operas, with symphonies, and they kind of created this kind of post-rock shoegaze style. And they're really one of the there were at the time, especially in '99, you didn't really have many bands that like this. Not many bands that were kind of launching into art rock, into this post-rock. So some critics at the time called this album the last great album of the 20th century. And there are other critics that were saying this is the most vital band heading into the 21st century. And it was really, hearing their music, hearing, how kind of unique and grand it was. It really was kind of exciting for rock. And then, after a few years, we got throwbacks. We got the Strokes. We got garage rock back. But yeah, this was just this is the first time I've actually listened to this album in years, and it's really just such a powerful and it's just an album that kind of could fill Lincoln. It could be perfectly at home in Lincoln Center, but also just fill out an arena. And what's also unique is just Jansi's voice too, which is in this falsetto, but he also uses a horsehair bow on his guitar, so it makes like you could kind of hear the strings, and it's really, I don't know, it's kind of interesting. But this was a pretty unique album, I thought, and wanted to see what you guys thought of it.
Yeah, I didn't get all of that from it, but I did. you got a lot of stuff in there. I did not pull out of that.
Well, I was gonna run through the songs, and I realized I can't pronounce them.
Yeah, no, man, but that's what I love about you. Like, you find these places where I'm just like, I can't get that depth in the music. It kind of reminded me of kind of like, it felt like a score a lot of times. You said, it felt like kind of a creepy fantasy soundtrack, some like mystical thing. So yeah, I enjoy it. I think it's kind of one of those where you kind of have to go in and really kind of absorb it a little bit more, probably, to get all that you got from it. And then you're a fan of that kind of music. So, this is up your alley anyway. It doesn't matter what language it's in, this is going to be your kind of music, Adam, where it's just kind of, it's kind of brings you down and low, and then it brings you up a little bit. But yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was interesting, and it was definitely, different and innovative, which I always love with a lot of your picks. Anthony, seemed like you probably liked it. Well, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, with when you're talking about film scores, this music actually scored. So the second song on the album, which was Svefn-g-englar, which is Sleepwalkers, Sleeping Angels. It was their first single, but it was also in Cameron Crowe used it in Vanilla Sky, and
Oh
then
wow.
and
Okay.
then the song right after it, which is probably their most known songs, Starlfer, which is the staring elf, was in The Life Aquatic. It
Oh
was
wow.
when they have the big
Okay.
cathartic moment of seeing the man, I think it was like the shark or so that they see that music is playing during it.
Do you know if it was in the original Vanilla Sky, the Spanish version, or
No,
it was
no, it was
just
in Cameron Crowe's one. But
okay?
Cameron Crowe was really into Sigur Rós, and he actually had the lead singer and guitarist Yonsei
Yeah.
score his movie We Own a Zoo.
Oh, a buddy of mine was in that. Dustin Ybarra.
Oh yeah,
But
Dustin. Yeah, I remember him.
yeah,
Good
that's.
guy.
Have you seen the Spanish version of Vanilla Sky? It's
That was
the
what's his
original
name?
is yeah. Who is that? You know, somebody good. The Cameron Crowe one was terrible, but
Yeah.
the original one was really good. Yeah, and that makes sense because that movie was about kind of uncomfortable moments, and so the music I would be fitting for that because it's haunting and in some ways. So that would make perfect sense. Very cool. That probably I bet that's an interesting soundtrack just on its own, the Vanilla Sky soundtrack. Anthony.
I liked it. I saw these guys live a couple of years ago.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, I forget where it was. I want to say it was at the King's Theater.
Oh yeah, yeah. They played
I
Beacon and King's Theater.
okay, because I know I saw Bjork there, but they're also Iceland. I guess I've seen a couple of
Right.
Icelandic acts at the King's Theater. But yeah, I mean, it's good. It's just not. You got to be in the mood to put this on. Every song is like 6 or 7 minutes long.
Adam's
Yeah.
Adam's pretty depressed a lot.
It's
so
not a it's not a party album, but I
lives
like
for
it.
it.
It's
he's a
very
candle guy. He
cinematic,
lives
yeah.
for it.
Yeah, very cinematic kind of stuff. It's funny. I was wondering if the experience of listening to them would be different if you understood Icelandic, and then you said that some of the stuff is a made-up language.
Yeah.
So I guess it's the same regardless.
Well, they have most of the songs on the album are in Icelandic, and then except for Svefn-g-englar, the Sleepwalker song, which he has this phrase he keeps repeating where it's called "choo choo," but it's just made up, and it's basically it's supposed to be when you hear it, it sounds like he's saying "it's you."
Oh,
So
okay.
a lot of the Hopelandic is more about like kind of your interpretation of what the word is. So I think most of the songs are in Icelandic. The song Olsen Olsen, which is later on, is entirely in Hopelandic, and but I think the next album they did after this, which is the Untitled Parentheses album, is entirely made up.
That's interesting because I believe that's something that Bjork also does. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
Hopelandic, but she also makes up words sometimes in her songs.
Yeah, and the producer of this album too worked on Bjork's first album, and he also worked on Queen's albums also.
Wow.
Very cool. Jeff, I know you just love this.
I can't imagine.
Right
Jeff
up your
liking
alley,
this.
buddy. This is
I hated it. Maybe I hate
back, baby.
maybe I hate Icelandic music. I hate Bjork.
Oh,
come
man,
on.
you're just
Bjork's-
No,
wrong.
I do.
You're just
Come on. She
what
changed the
made-
course of music. She's
What?
amazing.
No, she didn't.
Yes,
what,
she did.
she-
Sugar
she-
Cubes.
have-
Sugar Cubes owned the new wave.
Mhm.
Come on.
No, they did not.
Yes,
they
did.
were part of it, but they didn't own it.
Yes, they did.
But that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about this fucking band. It's like you were right, though. I don't know why I didn't see it as a soundtrack, but you're right, it was because the songs were long and insufferable. I think the opening song is something like 11 minutes.
Oh.
And I'm like, holy shit! And there's more to go, and then I'm thinking, okay, maybe that's one big song, and the rest of them are going to be short, like your pick, Anthony.
Yeah.
No. They're 8 minutes, 7. I mean, there's no short ones on this one. I mean, you're in there for the long haul.
Yeah,
It
it's
did
pretty
remind
long.
me if I'm thinking like music to equate it to. Also, a genre I didn't really care for too much was 70s dreamwave. That would be guys like Al Stewart and 10cc. It had that very like dreamy type of sound, but this was a little bit more updated. I don't like a made up language. I didn't know there was a made up language, but that makes me hate it even more. I'm just, I don't know, man. This just is not.
It's
This is
interesting.
just not for me.
Interesting you say all that, because I feel like, and we'll go with you next, but I think your pick is very similar into what this band is trying to achieve.
I thought so too, actually.
Yeah, very much so. So yeah, bring us in, Jeff. Like, prove me wrong. What's
Okay, so I went with Rammstein, Zeit, German
Rammstein.
band, obviously. This album basically came out in 2022, written during the pandemic. This was the album they were supposed to tour on. I was going to go see them on this tour, and COVID canceled it. They're known to put on these gigantic shows. They were playing MetLife Stadium, with the big fire in the show. I have no idea what they're singing about, but it's like this music reminds me of like going to see TSO. Trans-Siberian Orchestra. It's very big. It's very theatrical. It's fun to see live. I don't know what's going on some of the time, but I find it entertaining. Loudwire found this to be, it's one of the online publications named this one of the top 50 rock and metal albums, and Revolver, same type of thing as Loudwire, called this one of the top 25 best albums of 2020. And the titles, I mean, I just, Zigzag means snip snap.
Wow.
Dick and Titten is big tits.
I was wondering what that was.
Yeah. I do.
I love you doing the translations. It's brilliant.
Yeah. It's not sounding well. Zeit is time. But I listen. I enjoy it. It's fun to listen to. The music is passionate. There's a definite emotion behind it. Even though I don't understand what they're singing about, I enjoy the music. And like you said at the top of the segment, you sometimes you don't, but you really focus more on the music. And this music, there's crescendos, it builds, it's heavy, and I like that. So I kind of enjoyed this.
And you said you hadn't seen them live. You just want to see them, right?
I wanted to go see them, and then the show was postponed. And then when they had the redate, I was booked with something, so I never got a chance to see it live.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine last night, and he said he saw them live, and he says, it is this grandiose show. It's like, it's all theatrics and stuff. And then I asked him as a joke, I said, do you think they're actually talented, or do they hide behind all that stuff? Because that's what Kiss did. So I feel like a lot of bands kind of bumped up kind of your curiosity about them, just with all the other kind of like, look at me, I got all this stuff. And he said it kind of felt, I don't know. He said he enjoyed it. He said the music was great to a degree, but he said it felt a little Nazi-esque. Like, and he was with a Jewish guy, and the guy was like, we got to go. Like, at some point they like left early.
Right.
They're like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to be the encore, but we should probably get out of here. But he's,
I don't think they had any songs called More Crystal Nach. I don't think they had that.
Careful. Don't be Kanye. But so I don't know. I like it though. I'd always heard about this band. Everybody brings up their live shows. And so I'd noticed they had a new album. And then when I came up, that's kind of why I came up with this topic for today. I was just like, this theme, I was like, let me check this album out. Maybe we could all do like a foreign album stuff. But I like it. I think it's definitely groovy, man. His voice is phenomenal. Like, it just you kind of get into this kind of, it's very Bauhaus. It just has this kind of theme to it. Very Dracula rock, I guess you could call it, something like that.
Dracula.
Would you say it's almost like Rob Zombieist?
Yeah, I mean, that's all Dracula rock. That's well, he's Hellbilly, whatever the hell that is. But so it's all that stuff. It's just all that, kind of, which starts from everybody else, from Ozzy to Sabbath and all that. So, it all goes to places. But Led Zeppelin, even, everybody was trying to get into this thing that was more than the music and, culty and all that stuff. So I think they've just taken it to another level. And with the live show, I think it just, just the theatrics kind of, exaggerate all that stuff. Adam, what do you think?
I really liked it. Same thing. I'd wanted to go see them live at MetLife. I think they just had the concert recently too. They rescheduled from like 2 years ago. Yeah, there's just something about just the German language that works so well with hard rock and heavy metal. And but yeah, I mean, I've already gone through this album a few times. I'm probably gonna head back to some of their back catalog and check it out. But yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Very
And
cool.
tickets, Adam, were going really cheap. You were able to
They
get
were,
tickets,
yeah,
but for it's like $25 because they were
yeah,
playing MetLife, which I thought was way too big for them. But they need a venue that big to put on that show.
yeah. And I remember the only reason I didn't go is because I think it was pouring rain that night.
Hmm.
But it was, you could have gotten tickets dirt cheap for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I asked on ComedyHub or Twitch. I was just like favorite foreign album, and then ComedyHub says the Abbey Road, the Beatles. Like, dude, you know what I mean? Shut up, dude. It's like
Good pick. Good pick.
it's like non-English speaking. That was part of this whole thing today. I guess you got to put everything in there, or people are just gonna be like, "Well, that's not technically American." It's like, all right. Anthony.
This band was one of the first bands I thought of when you said non-English speaking albums. And then when I think the two of you guys picked this one originally, I was expecting this to be the album that has their song Du Hast. And then I saw it was their new one, and I was like, I wanted to hear Du Hast. I thought it was fine. I know that it was kind of a similar vibe as the Sigur Rós album, but I liked this one less. I'm not sure. Well, I think I thought that they were going to be heavier all throughout, and then they were like making me wait for it.
But there's
And
more
I didn't
keyboard
want
and there's
that,
more
really.
build up.
Yeah, I didn't really
Right.
want the build up from these guys. But it was well done. But it's not what it's just not what I wanted from this album for some reason.
Yeah, I think this band is a phase too. Happy Misgift says I did have a Rammstein phase, but don't remember any of the album names. So yeah, because you can't spell them.
You
Like, why
can't-
would you remember them? It's like,
True.
you don't speak German. Yeah, it'd be hard to kind of remember the albums. But yeah, it's like a phase band for sure. Like, this is something, if this came out in high school, this would be, something that I would be into, kind of
Oh
thing.
yeah. Dude,
Yeah, I could
their other song, their big song, I think came out when I was in high school, and
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think this is definitely that kind of band. But I would still like to see them live. I mean, get all the hype, and I'd still like to just to see what it's all about, because everybody really rant and raves about the theatrics of it and stuff. So very cool.
Same.
Same. All right, so Anthony, what you got for us today?
All right. Originally I was looking for something. I wanted to pick something French. I wanted to pick like a French pop album. But then I saw there are a couple artists that I was considering, but I wanted something like really upbeat, especially considering everything that you guys picked. So I switched it up and I went with a Japanese punk band called the Let's Goes, and their album is called I Hate the Let's Goes, or that's the album I picked. I tried to find information about them, but everything that I found was in Japanese without translations. So I don't know much about the band, other than I believe they started in Tokyo maybe around 2006, and they're still going. I think they put out an album last year. And apparently, maybe it's the lead singer is the daughter of a Guitar Wolf is the name of the artist. I wasn't that familiar, but I guess it's another Japanese garage rock band or artist that is pretty well known. So this was, I don't even know how I found out about this band. I think I was just looking for Japanese garage punk, and I was just kind of randomly seeing if I liked any of the bands, and I really liked this one. There's I saw a music video for one of their songs on Apple Music. The song title is not in English, but on YouTube, the song track 5 on this album, if it's translated to English, is "Summer Girl," and that was I watched the music video. I was like, oh, I want to check out the rest of that album, and I liked the rest of the album, so that's the one I picked. It's sort of like it's garage rock, it's pop punk, it's a lot of Ramones influence. It feels like just really good, upbeat party punk rock with like that kind of doo-wop sound, like the harmonies and stuff like that. So I liked it. I would listen to this again. I want to listen to more of their albums. It's interesting though, because without the songs being in English, I have a hard time remembering the melodies. I don't know if you guys have that.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really good. But I loved it how you and Adam both found albums I couldn't find on my streaming service. So I had 1 month free Apple thing just so I could
I
get
didn't
through
know.
today.
I would have picked their new album. I would have changed it to their new album because you said that one was on Tidal, right?
Yeah,
I'll
it's
buy
okay.
that.
Just in the future, like I don't want to have to. I've joined so many streaming services.
Oh yeah. Well, next time let me know, because I
Yeah.
figured if it's on Apple Music, it's on most of them.
Tidal doesn't have the rights to everything. They're trying. They're an artist-based streaming service, so
Yeah.
they're a little limited. But yeah, I like this a lot. I thought it was it was cool, very hardcore. It's even more hardcore when you can't understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
So it's like, at least with like speed metal, you could kind of understand a few words. With this, nothing. So I liked it. I thought it was fun and upbeat, and the fact that like, is it all Asian girl band? Is that,
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
All
There's
three
something
of them.
and I also think they're making fun of the Go-Go's with that name. They're kind of mocking
Oh.
the Go-Go's. So in my head, that's what I think.
Maybe they
But-
are.
Yeah, they're kind of
Let's
making fun
Go's.
of the Go-Go's, like they're hardcore and the Go-Go's are pop or whatever. But I liked it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was good. It was great punk rock, and I enjoyed it. It's one of those kind of upbeat albums that I enjoyed. Adam, did you like it?
Yeah, I thought it was fun and cheery. I mean, the lyrics could be, the complete opposite, but it was just the music itself was so much fun. It kind of reminded me. Well, first it reminded me a lot of the bands that I would see down in the Lower East Side in from like 2000 to 2009, especially during the whole like garage,
Oh yeah.
the garage revival that was going on. But also just that band from Kill Bill when they're in the
Yes.
house of the
5, 6, 7, 8.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, reminded me of that also.
I wanted to pick them, but when I went to listen to them, I realized they have a lot of songs that are in English, so I couldn't pick them, even though they're a Japanese band. So
okay.
I was looking for something like them.
A little bit of English is okay. Just not the entire album.
Well,
Yeah.
I-
Now the rules change. No, changing the rules.
but that was my first thought.
My album has a little bit of English, but not much.
Not too much.
Yeah, just
One or
enough.
2 lines.
Yeah, just enough. Jeff, seems like your kind of band.
This band is definitely influenced by the 70s. They're a 3-piece band.
Yeah.
And they definitely have like that Ramones, the Colors. The Colors were like Clem Burke's Offspring band from Blondie. And I get the feeling like if you threw this band like back in 1977, you would see them at Max's Kansas City or Bond International.
Mm-hmm.
They had that very, very raw sound. And of course, Anthony has to find the hardest album on this show. In the history of this show, this was easily the hardest thing for me to find. Okay.
I didn't know. You guys should have told
What's
me.
your streaming service? What's yours, Jeff?
I think I have Apple. I have.
Then you should have
It's
found
so
it easy
easy.
on Apple.
Yeah, I found it on
Yeah.
Apple. That's
Yeah,
why.
it's on Apple. It was
and
Tidal.
also
I don't have Apple, so that's why it was hard for me.
But it could also find if Anthony had to join an international band, this would be the band he would join. Okay? He would definitely be.
He would join the all-girl band.
The all-girl Japanese band? Yeah, that's the one.
Yes, you would be in an all-girls Japanese band.
They
That'd be a
wouldn't
dream
have
for
it.
him. That'd be a dream for him, actually.
But this was okay. I mean, yeah, it definitely has like I said, it has a 70s sound. I think the sound is kind of like over a little bit, but I mean, it was okay. It was
So you're saying
cool.
punk is dead?
I think punk is different. I think punk is a little bit more evolved. I think punk is blended.
not
now.
supposed to evolve.
I don't think there's a lot of pure punk anymore.
Yeah, punk's not supposed to
Maybe
evolve.
in Japan, it's a different scene.
Yeah, that's true.
So what are they 40 years behind?
Well, maybe they never gave up on punk.
Really, Japan's 40 years behind? I don't know. You haven't been there, have you? That place is
No, when it comes
pretty
to
advanced.
music, because
Oh, okay.
remember Loudness tried to be metal.
Yeah. I mean, punk is, got Machine Gun Kelly running around. You got, it's really taking a dip. So
I mean, he's punk. He's not punk.
no, but the young generation, they think he is because they don't know. They're not listening.
Exactly. Thank you for
listening.
saying that. They don't know.
All right, they don't know. They know these kids don't know.
Dude,
Machine
they
Gun
don't
Kelly.
know.
He got famous. If you don't know who he is, he got famous by dissing Eminem, and then Eminem got to the point where he couldn't take it anymore. So he finally did a rebuttal, and then made him more and more famous. So that was a mistake. He should have never said anything back. I blame Eminem for him being famous and taking our darling Megan Fox away from us. All right. So I got a few minutes. I don't have a lot of time here. I do love jazz. I don't pretend to be this jazz aficionado or anything, but I do love it. I think it's a music that most of my vinyl searches involve jazz. I try to find. I don't love the saxophone. It is not my favorite jazz instrument. I'll tell you, I'm more of a trumpet guy, more of a guitar guy, more of anything but. But this man right here, Stan Getz, is the best in my opinion. I listen to him over Coltrane all day.
Wow.
Something about the way he plays saxophone. They called him the Sound back in the early 40s, 50s. Like there was something about it was a whimsical sound that people hadn't heard through the saxophone before, and I love it. It's my favorite artist, saxophonist. And so he did this experimental album with this is Brazil meets American jazz. This is Getz Gilberto. And this is an amazing album. It's Stan Getz on sax, Joe Gilberto on guitar and vocals, Antonio Carlos piano, Milton Banana on drums, and the singing you hear on the female voice is Astrid Gilberto, his wife. And it is fantastic. This is a great album. I think when people are like, you want to impress somebody like that thinks they know music, put this on because it's really hard to resist. It's such a beautiful piece of music. Obviously the big song "Girl from Ipanema" is a huge song that was actually a charted hit, and it was a crossover hit because jazz took a lot of hit because of rock and roll. So in the 61, jazz was hurting because of Elvis and Beatles, all those things that were happening, and so these kind of the bossa nova sound is what kind of saved jazz, meaning like more global influences and things like samba and things like that. Tony Bennett actually went to Brazil and kind of like got immersed with that sound, and so the sound that he brought back had a little influence from that. So that was while it was having the bossa nova sound. But yeah, this is a great album. The two songs that you can catch Astrid on is "Girl in Ipanema" and then "Corcovado," which is the other song, and that's a great song as well. And the music in this is phenomenal. The singing is great, and it's one of my favorite jazz albums of all time. It's one of my favorite. Rolling Stones, let's see, and Vibe magazine said it's one of the best albums of all time. They put it in that category against rock and roll, so that's a pretty big deal. So Anthony, seems like this is up your alley.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I don't think I've ever heard the rest of the album. I've heard the "Girl from Ipanema."
Yeah, pretty popular song.
And I really liked the rest of it. So this is something I would put in my rotation. I'd probably buy it on vinyl.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's kind of hard to find. Like they've reissued it. This is actually an original. But,
ooh. I don't know if I would go crazy trying to get an original, but I would get it. I'd get a reissue.
Well, this was before the pressing, and I was just like, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And then I found it like a little San Antonio record shop, and it was like a big deal.
That's great.
But yeah, I love it.
It's cool to have a original press.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Jeff.
Something a lot of people don't know about me. "Girl from Ipanema" is one of my favorite all-time songs.
Oh,
love that song.
I had no idea. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, this type of music is very smooth. It's very sexy. I kind of consider it like dinner music. Like you could put this on like when you're having dinner and having people over and just play it, and it, you know, it's very calming, it's very mature, you know.
Yeah.
This like this is like if you're gonna have an affair, this is what you're playing as your soundtrack. You know?
Who told you?
I like
This
that.
is-
That's the good. Like it's mature. So if you're gonna have an affair,
Yes. So you listen, you're not drinking a Budweiser and listening to this album. You're drinking a martini. Okay.
I love it.
No, I really do like this. I love Burt Bacharach. So when you talk about the brass sound and the horns and everything, you know, I think this is right up the alley. I do agree with you. It's Stan Getz. No, but I love this. You got a little insight of that from me when I think when we picked all musical albums,
Yeah.
I went with Maynard Ferguson. So I do like horns. I think horns bring music together, but this is like really, this is nice. This is very, very sophisticated.
Nice. Did not see that coming. I love it. I love it. Let's drink some martinis and discuss more jazz. All right. All right. Break us home, Adam. You got a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I thought it was an incredible album, and I'm kicking myself because I saw it in the store. It was in the front of the jazz section used a couple of days ago, and I should have picked it up. It's probably gone at this point. I hadn't listened to the album yet.
Yeah, it's great, right?
But yeah,
It was
it's
a good
great,
listen.
yeah, it's a great album, and especially if you have Apple Music, it's in surround, so you really get
Oh,
just
very
feels
cool.
like you're right there.
Maybe I'll keep Apple Music now. I have
Right.
no idea.
I like Apple Music. I think it's great.
You know what? I got
Yeah.
to drive after this, and I may be putting this on for my ride.
I like it. I like it. Sophistication. Look what happened today. It's more than metal bands on this show, guys. All right. Thank you so much for listening and watching Dustin's Vinyl. Please follow us on YouTube. Thank you, ComedyHub. Thank you, everybody on Twitch and listening to us, and spread the word. We love to and support the local record stores. All right, everybody. Woo.
See you
Bye, guys.
later.
Bye. Five o'clock on the dot. Woo.